Hey guys, this is Anthony Morganti from anthonymorganti.com, and this is episode 101 of Photo Critiques. And in Photo Critiques, people send me in some of their best work, and I critique each shot with suggestions on how they can improve it. And today, I'm pleased to critique the work of Dominik Heinen. Dominik tells me he's from Germany, but he's an exchange student currently living in Singapore, and most of these shots are from the area, the Asian rim, I guess you would call it. And he's using a Samsung NX20, I believe. And his first shot here, this very, highly photographed building because it's so unique. I like the composition. The exposure is very good. I think, though, in this case, it's just a little too early or too late. And what I mean by that is the time you're taking it. The sky is still very bright. I think if you waited just a little longer, it would have been a stronger shot where the sky is a little darker. Or if you got there a little earlier and you had some of that like sunset glow still. I don't know where the sun is in the shot. Obviously, it's overcast. But that's the third point, is if you could go back to this scene and take this shot again, it would be a nice shot, I believe. I think it would be a really super strong shot, actually, if it was a cloudless sky and it was nighttime and you got stars in the shot. I think it would be a super strong shot. This was taken. It was a 4-second exposure at f of 8. Now, of course, at night with the stars, you're talking about maybe a minute exposure, and you get the stars would have little lines in them. But it still, I think, would be a very very strong shot in that instance. So. In this particular instance, if you waited a little longer or got there a little earlier, and of course, as I mentioned, is come back to the scene again if possible. And in the next shot, I don't know if it was the same day or night or whatever, but you could see how much stronger this shot is. This shot was just a little bit too early, whereas this one was now it's dark, and we have the moon popping through over here. It's an excellent exposure. It was 10 seconds at f of 8. ISO was 100. It was 18 millimeters. We smoothed out with that 10-second exposure. It smoothed the water just enough. We're getting some nice reflections that are vertical, that are help leading us up into the picture. Very nice exposure, and of course, this moon popping through the clouds here is pretty interesting. So this is a very excuse me. This is a very strong shot. As you could see, what I meant by this one. I think if maybe it was earlier in the day, just a little bit, half hour earlier, and the sun, you had that warm glow. If the sun was jutting through anywhere, this would have made this shot a lot better. But this one is just, far superior. Very nice shot. This is a very interesting shot. Now, typically, when you take a portrait of anyone, you don't want to use 18 millimeters. And what 18 millimeter will do, any wide angle lens, it distorts the features. You can see how the young man's forehead is rather large. It kind of brings out that forehead. It kind of, distorts, the general features of the face. Maybe that's the look you want, though. It's a very intriguing shot. It's very very cool. The exposure is perfect. The color's very nice. The eyes are a tiny bit dark. Um, as I mentioned many times in the critiques, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And I don't know why humans do this, but when we look at anything with eyes, our eyes are drawn to their eyes. So we're always going to look at the eyes. So you have some nice catch lights in them. So that's very nice, but they are still a little dark. So you could, brighten it up in Lightroom. Is you would just come in with a little exposure, and you would just brighten the eyes with some exposure if possible. Oops, I made a mistake there, so that's going to be messy, but I'm trying to go fast. You guys get the idea, I think. I don't know. See, it's hard. There's not really enough detail in there, and it's making him look almost like he's alien there. But the other alternative is when you're taking the shot. Um, excuse me. Why isn't it going away? There we go. The other alternative is when you're taking the shot, is you might be able to reflect some light up there, even with a piece of white poster board, some type of white reflector, and try to reflect some light back up into his eyes from this side, probably as the light comes in. Of course, it's going to lighten up, this side of his face also. But as it is, it's a very intriguing shot because of your choice of using an 18 millimeter lens. Usually with portraits, if you're using a crop sensor camera like you're using, you'd want to use at least a 50 millimeter lens, and that would give you, usually a shot that's not going to distort any of the facial features. Um, 85 millimeter is kind of the standard portrait lens. A lot of people use 105 millimeter. If you're using a full frame camera, 105 millimeter usually is fine. 85, some people use 85 still, but something up in there. I know many photographers that use a 200 millimeter lens for portraits. They like standing pretty far away. So that, though, it really doesn't distort the features. But like I mentioned, this is a really interesting shot. This shot is just about perfect. I love the composition. I love the colors. It's just fantastic. And I just say, I'm being nitpicky here. It's just that his toes are cut off. If you could just get a little more and just didn't cut off his toes. I mean, we are cutting off this leg anyway, but we don't want to cut the toes off right here. It's just kind of the flow of his body from the corner diagonal through. Very, very well done. Again, his eyes are a little dark also. You could brighten those up again with a brush. I'm not going to try to now because I failed so miserably before. But um, all in all, though, it's a really, really nice shot. I think it's a fantastic portrait. Very well done. This shot here, the black and white, I like the processing. You did a nice job of exposure. The shadows are a little dark. I don't know if you're going for that. You could, go into something like Lightroom and you could open up the shadows a little bit if you were so inclined. Um, if you open up the shadows, probably that's too much. But you could see this detail now in the, I guess the building that they're constructing. As you can see the before, it's just real black. I mean, real black. And then the after, as you could see more detail there. Before, after. Now, as far as that's concerned, as we look at the shot, we do have the subject, which I guess is right here, but it's very far away. I think this would have been a better shot. Now you're at 18 millimeters. I don't know if you have a different lens, if you could use a different lens, is to zoom in, and I really think it would have been a stronger shot if this was the subject. And let's see if I could quickly do something like this. Something like that. That's kind of cheating a little bit, but that's the idea. I think this is a much stronger shot than what we had before. Now I opened up the shadows so we see more detail in here, and I cropped it down and I got this whole crane here in the shot, and I think that's a stronger image in my opinion. So 18 millimeters is really wide, and in this case I think it just didn't help given you it didn't give you a real strong subject that way. That's my opinion on this. This is another selective color. It's very nice, a very, very bright bridge. I like the selective color. You have it in the reflection too. Very well done. And I think it's a really nice shot. I like the composition. And I like the idea that you were going for. And I think it's really nice. The only thing, and I always say this, and it's kind of, it's really the photographer's personal preference. But if you had a person on the bridge, I think it would really push it over the top. So a lot of us photographers, I don't know why, I was like this too for the longest time. I never would have people in my landscape shots. And then I started looking at travel magazines and National Geographic, and they'd have these long expanses, cityscapes and landscapes, and especially in travel magazines. You look, you go to, here in the U.S., I could go to the supermarket and there's, these Arizona travel there, and these different, states have all their travel magazines, and I look, and almost every single like landscape will have a person in it. So if you aspire to sell photographs, landscape photographs to magazines, maybe travel, be a travel photographer, don't be adverse to having a person in the shot. And in this case, if the person was just walking over the bridge right around here, or walking, going this way, and you had them right around here, not right smack dab in the middle, but coming up over the bridge, I think it would be a really strong shot. Or maybe somebody on a bicycle or something. I don't know. You get the idea. So that's my rant for the day. I don't mean anything to you, Dominic. This is an excellent shot. Very, very nice. But people in general, if you aspire to get your shots in magazines, and a travel photographer or something like that, get some people in the shot. This is a great shot. I really like it. I like everything about the shot. You got the nice spillway down. A lot of times, a lot of us photographers, we cut this off for some reason, but you did a real nice job there. It's an excellent exposure. It was 2.5 seconds at f/16, ISO 100. This was at 33 millimeters. It's a real nice composition. I like it. Very nice. This is a nice composition too. This one here, you could say, well, there's not a person in it too. But, if there was a person in it, I'm not so sure we'd see him, because this is kind of a really, far look, of the, this landscape of this, I don't know, to me, it looks like kind of like a volcanic lake. I'm probably way off. I probably don't know what I'm talking about. But it's a very nice shot. Nice clouds, the water, this nice color here. We have this like a splotch of bright color right here, and then the rest is real subdued. And so it's a really interesting shot, and I like the composition. I think it's a nice shot. This shot here is a perfectly exposed, beautiful sunset, very well done. This one here is just lacking that subject I talk about a lot in the critiques. We just need something else to look at beside the sunset. This here, this is beautiful. I mean, the sky is beautiful, but there's really not a strong subject. We just got the water. If there was a boat in the water, if there was someone swimming, even something more in the foreground, if you could back up and you had some flowers in the foreground or something, it would add to the shot, and it would add to the interest. If there's any docks on this water, you hit the dock, or if there's a pier, something like that, you could add to the shot. As it is now, as a photographer, I would take this shot and I would use the background. I would clip this out and put it in other shots. I cheat basically, and because it's just a really beautiful exposure. You have nice contrasting colors. Very well done. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. I'd like to thank Dominik for sharing his work with us. Very talented photographer, obviously. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank everyone who watches all my videos. I really do appreciate it. And if you have time, go over to my website, anthonymorganti.com. I got all kinds of photography stuff over there. And if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to my YouTube channel. That's it for now. I'll talk to you guys soon.